Hello?
Right, so you said that the response for the second one is C, right?
Yes.
And that is correct. Okay. So moving on to the third one. In paragraph 3, Josh mentions some colleagues to demonstrate how A, B, or C.
Can you go back to the question? Paragraph. Can you go down? It's B.
It's
B.
B. They held him, they helped him to gain some confidence. And that is correct. Next question. What does it refer to in line 26?
Okay, can you go back up?
Right, and do believe that they've marked line 26. Yeah, so
Can you go back down? It's A.
it is A. Yes. Good. You're doing well. Question 14. Right, so just two left. Josh suggests that his job suits what kind of people?
I think it's B.
It is B. Good. And lastly, what was Josh's main reason for writing this blog? What do you think? Obviously, it's not.
A.
It is not it. Just think about it, because the answer is not given in the text itself, right? You have to read the text and try to understand. Okay, so what is he trying to say? What message is he trying to give? And then figure it out. So if you want to
Then
put,
it's B.
it is B, right? Right, because he's not giving you any tips on how to take care of the wildlife. He's giving his own personal experiences, right? And he's not really encouraging people to get involved. He's like, yeah, sure, you can. I mean, right? It doesn't really stress on that. So it's basically why he started it, how he started it, how he got to where he was, right? How people react. So it's his personal experiences.
Okay.
Now, right, moving on, we are done with the reading portion of the exam, right? Exercise 1 to 4 is the reading portion. Next is exercise 5, which according to the current syllabus will always be an informal email, right? So it will always be an email that you will have to write, and it will be to a friend or a relative, which means it's going to be written in with informal language, with an informal
Yeah,
approach.
and about this syllabus, it has been changed. Like in exercise 4, there was summary writing before, yeah?
Yeah, so in the earlier syllabus, I mean, you can still use the previous past papers, they are still helpful, they're still useful for practice, but obviously, if an exercise has been completely removed, like you mentioned, the summary, then practicing that won't really help in
Yeah.
attempting the current paper pattern.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and right, so over here it's like 120 to 160 words. uh, in the previous syllabus the word limit for these written exercises were was different, and so you can still use those exercises to write, but you just need to do it according to the current requirement. Anyway,
Okay.
right, so the prompt that you've been given is that you recently bought an item online, there was a problem with it, write an email to a friend about that problem, right? And they're telling you what to write. So you should explain why you bought the item, and you can mention obviously what that item is, describe what the problem with the item is, and say what you're going to do about it, right? Now keep in mind that they're just directing you in the direction of what should be written. They're not giving you the specifics that write about this item, write about this problem, and say what you're going to do about it. This is what you're going. So right, it could be any item. There could be any reason why you bought it. There could be any problem with any sort of problem. It could be like it could be like a gadget, a piece of clothing, right? A decorative item, anything, right? Whatever the problem with it is, and then what are you going to do about it? Are you going to return it? Are you going to ask like a returner to give ask for a refund or a replacement? Are you just going to keep it, or perhaps give it to someone else or throw it away? I mean, you could, right? Lots of options. Between 120 to 160 words, the minimum you absolutely need to write is 120. Right? Do not write less than 120 because that itself is a very low limit. Okay?
Okay, and all of the words count?
All of the words count, yes. By the way, you did tell me that right, someone told you that the one and two letter words don't count.
Yeah.
Right? I have to counter check that with right, whether that's the case or not. So right, for the time being, all the words count. Now there are 6 marks for content and 9 marks for language. Now how does that work? So if I just go here and I show you how the marking works. Okay, so I'm showing you right what is called the marking scheme, which I'm guessing you're familiar with. Are you familiar with the marking scheme?
Not much.
Right, so it's a document in which Cambridge gives the answers, right? And right, despite whatever level of expertise a teacher has, they use the marking scheme as I was using when I was checking your answers right now, right? Because we are supposed to guide you as to what Cambridge expects. Because if you don't have the marking scheme, despite our level of expertise, even we can have slightly different answers, right? Because we are human after all. So, right, the marking criteria is the same for exercise 5 and 6, right? The writing exercise. You have 6 marks for content and 9 marks for language, and that is given in steps, right? So obviously, if there's no credible content, if there's nothing written that could be marked, then there's a 0, right? And so there are 3 steps. You either get 1 to 2 marks, which is low level writing, mediocre writing is 3 to 4 marks, and then good writing there are 5 to 6 marks for content, right? For the content means what have you written. And so what is the criteria, right? One criteria is task fulfillment. So a task is fulfilled. So you have given content, You have written an email on the topic that is given. Content is fully relevant throughout, right? You have written according to the prompt and the bullet points that you have been given. Consistently appropriate style for the text, right? So in case of an informal email, right?
Yes.
In case of an informal email, you are writing as an informal one, right? An excellent sense of purpose and audience. Okay.
Okay.
So you are writing. So if you're writing to a friend, then you write it as if you're writing to a friend with certain conditions. You're not going to use slang language and stuff like that. Development of ideas, so content is very well developed. So they're not just random ideas that you're throwing out there. Okay, you actually put thought into how to link one to the other, right, and how to take your letter forward. Again, you don't have a lot of words to do this with, but that is what is expected. Now, as for the language, right, again, it goes from 0, then 1 to 3, 4 to 6, and 7 to 9. What is being tested for language? Well, one thing is called range and accuracy. What are they testing in the range and accuracy? So, content is communicated skillfully and appropriately. So, your style of writing, your sentence construction, all of that. It uses a wide range of common and less common vocabulary appropriately, right? So, common vocabulary, obviously, less common vocabulary. Okay? So, better words, better expressions appropriately, meaning you're using the word in the correct way. Alright? As it should be used, right? In its proper meaning. Uses a wide range of simple and complex sentences, right? So that's where we get into sentence structure. Now I'm going to ask you, are you familiar with simple and complex sentences?
Yes.
Okay. Right, because if there's a need to, I can have like a class where I go over grammar, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, like if you want, you could do it.
Okay,
And
so
a simple sentence is like noun, verb. What else?
okay, so maybe right, because obviously we have time, we just started out, and so right, I will take some grammar classes as well, right?
Okay.
And then finally you need like a high level of accuracy of language, right? Meaning that you are using your punctuations and your vocabulary and your tenses and your sentence structure and everything, right? And occasional errors may be, occasional meaning infrequent, right? Few errors may be present, but these do not impede communication, right? So they don't affect the understanding of what you are trying to say. Then is the
Okay.
organization, effectively organized in sequence. Again, so it's not written randomly, right? You're going to, introduce the letter, have your introduction, then you're going into the body of the letter, and you're going to talk about, what you bought and why you bought it, and then you're going to talk about what the problem is, and then what you're going to do about it, and then you're going to end your letter. So proper organization, and then using a wide range of linking words and other cohesive devices. So again, right, as is with normal writing or good writing, I would say, you're going to try and link these using certain words, right? So, right, and what those words are, we'll take a look at. And obviously, right, if the quality drops, you can see over here, right, it's the same criteria, but then they're basically saying, well, if the quality is low, then you get less marks, which obviously would be the case. Okay. On that note, right, there is a document. If you just give me a minute, I'll open it up, and it should be available on the Google Drive. So let me just get that. It is Can you see that? Oh wait, you can't. Let me just flip between screens. Okay, can you see that now? Afan? Okay, so this is a document that has been released by Cambridge, and it is a sample informal email, right? And it also gives you details on how to approach the task. So, right, you get an email to share information with someone, right? It could be about your personal lives, and if the audience is informal, right? So it's someone we know, like a friend or a relative, and that means that the language and tone of the email should also be informal, right? So there's like a difference between formal and informal. If I just, right, go in here and I add some text. Can I do that? Yeah. Alright, so in informal language, right, you can use contractions such as he's instead of he is.
Is he's allowed?
Huh?
Is he's allowed?
For informal language it is.
Okay.
Right, you can use he's instead of he is. You can use figurative language, right, such as, you know, similes, metaphors, idioms, right, phrasal verbs. Then, you know, you can use words such as mom, dad, or sis, right, or stuff like that. And the vocabulary is overall more relaxed. Just like you would expect it to be when you're writing to a friend. Okay? Any questions regarding that?
No.
Okay. Right, the content. So we talked about task fulfillment, we talked about development of ideas. Language, we talked about range, accuracy, organization. Then they're giving you some tips, right? So think about the suitability of the vocabulary, and right, so as far as vocabulary is concerned, there are two types of vocabulary. There's general vocabulary, and then there's topic specific vocabulary, right? So in the task that we just looked at, right, it's about purchasing something online. And so for that, right, not only will you be using general vocabulary, but you would want to use certain words that you would that are associated with online shopping. Okay?
Okay.
Make your email sound informal using, right, you can also use appropriate phrasal verbs such as give up, idioms such as out of the blue, contractions such as I've, it's, you'll instead of the full forms. You can use topic related.
What does out of the blue mean?
Out of the blue meaning without knowing, without information, right, without telling.
Okay.
Okay, right, including a range of topic related vocabulary. So for example, if there's like a sports competition, any sort of competition, you use terms such as judges and audience and first prize and compete in. Of course, it's not relevant to the topic we have. Right, ensure that the email is well communicated skillfully and reads well, and try to include clauses that begin with which, when and if. When you finish your email, read through it to check for missing words and grammar. So that is a rule for everything. In fact, when you're writing, first you want to collect your ideas, you note them down, then you write out your email, consider that as a rough draft. Then you go back and check it, you make all the corrections, and then you write it out again properly with all the corrections. That is your final draft. Now, I know that is not something you can do in your exam, but if that is how you do it while we are practicing and preparing, then with each writing that we do, your skill will improve and you will make less and less mistakes. And so
Okay.
in the exam, when you finally get there, you will write it out once. You will jot down your ideas. You will write it out once, and you just go back and see if you have made any mistakes, and correct them right there and then. You will not rewrite it, right? So the writing it twice first, and then making correction, then writing it again, is only what while we are practicing, right? And we've got like a good 7-8 months of practice ahead of us. Okay.
Okay.
Organization. So how are you going to organize your email, right? Because organization is something that is marked. It's obviously supposed to be divided into paragraphs, right? It is advisable to include the idea of each bullet point in a separate paragraph. Other than that, there should be a brief opening and a brief closing. So paragraph 1 will be, right, asking your friend how he is, or apologizing, or stating the reason for writing your email. That is your opening or introductory paragraph. Then paragraph 2 will be about bullet point 1, paragraph 3 will be about bullet point 2, paragraph 4 will be about bullet point 3, and then the closing will be, it will include a question for your friend, an invitation, a suggestion, a recommendation. So not exactly, I mean, it could be related to what the email was about, or it could be something else. Okay? And you should
Okay.
link your ideas by using linking, right, sentences. For example, that's why, also, while, soon after that. Okay, and also introduce new ideas in the paragraphs. You'll never believe this, but before anything else, or later that day. Now again, this seems like a lot for very few words that you have to work with, and that's where the certain skill and difficulty comes in, is producing a good piece of text that has all these features in only those many words. Now, the word limit is not strict in the sense that yes, you need a minimum of 120 to score marks. You can write more than 160, you will not lose marks, there is no negative marking as that, there is no penalization. So you won't lose marks for writing more, but there will be, right, some other thing that you will lose, and that is time. Right, so if you're writing more than is required, you have 2 hours to complete the whole paper. And so if you're writing more, that means you're spending more time, and that means time management could be an issue. Secondly, if you're
Okay.
writing,
And as for the 160 words limit, like what could be the maximum limit that I could write? 180.
I mean, you could go there, yes, but try not to go there.
Okay.
Okay. And secondly, if you're writing more, then the problem could be that you are writing something that is irrelevant, and if it's irrelevant, it's not going to get you any marks anyway. Right?
Okay.
Now, what we have over here, and you can get this from the Google Drive, you have the link on the group, right? And so, right, they've annotated this, and I already explained this to you. And so, this is about taking part in a school competition recently, and something unusual happened. Write an email, explain what you did to prepare, describe what happened during the competition, so that unusual thing that happened, and say what you enjoyed most about the experience. And here is actually a sample and they've actually graded it. So this is a very good example. They've got a 14 out of 15, right? In some of the examples for other writings, they've given examples of writings that were mediocre or poor, which is right. I mean, I don't know why Cambridge did that, but anyway, this is an example of a very good piece. So you can see there's a hi Andy, an introduction, 1, 2, 3, and then the ending, and then best wishes and your name, right? So there's a bit more that I would want to explain. Maybe you can read this on your own, get an idea of how an email is written. A suggestion came in to make a Google Classroom. I think I'll do that. I'll set up a Google Classroom where you can submit your work. Hopefully you can submit it as a document file, like a Word doc, because that makes it easier for me to check.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And still, like this letter I see, I don't know if you remembered, and then they put a comma and then but. So when I was with my last teacher, she told me that if you're using a conjunction, you don't need to use the comma. And
Uh, which conjunction are you talking about?
like here it's but the
Okay.
third. I don't know if you remembered, but
You do add a comma before, so yeah, so that's something, right? I guess I need to take those grammar classes. Just for a quick review, uh, there are certain cases where you add a comma. There are certain cases where you don't add a comma, right?
yeah, like I used to put the comma after like but or before but, and then she told me not to do it.
Before but you would put a comma. Okay. So right. I'm giving you this particular email that is in the specimen paper exercise 5 as homework. You'll be able to find the specimen paper on the Google Drive as well, right? And if you're not able to find it, you can let me know. And the next class that we have will be on Tuesday. I will go into grammar review before continuing, or perhaps I'll get this done with, and then I'll go into grammar review. But grammar review is coming soon. Okay. Any questions?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
for the Tuesday class, is it possible for you to change the Tuesday class to some other day because I have to go out?